The camera pans across the packed America's Got Talent theater. The audience is buzzing with anticipation, but there's a subtle sense of skepticism in the air. Another audition, another hopeful performer. Yet something about this moment feels different, though no one can quite put their finger on it. The stage lights dim, and a hush falls over the crowd. Even the judges, Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Sofia Vergara, exchange glances, sensing a charged energy they can't yet explain. From backstage, a young Filipino man steps forward. He's unassuming, dressed in a simple white shirt and black pants, carrying no flashy props, wearing no sparkling costume, nothing to signal he is a superstar in the making. Some audience members murmur quietly, "Who is this guy?" A few skeptics roll their eyes. There's nothing about his appearance to suggest he could command the stage or challenge the memory of the king of rock and roll. But as he steps into the spotlight, there's a magnetic aura about him, a quiet confidence that instantly demands attention. The camera zooms in on Simon Cowell's face. He leans back, arms crossed, a trademark skeptical frown on his face. He's seen thousands of auditions and most are forgettable. But there's something about this young man's presence that causes Simon to pause, just for a moment, as if sensing the storm to come. Then, without a single word of introduction, the Filipino singer raises his head, takes a deep breath, and opens his mouth. What comes out is not just a note, it's a note that seems impossibly perfect. Clear, resonant, and pure, it fills every corner of the theater. The sound is so precise, so rich, that the audience collectively stops breathing. Even the judges can't help but lean forward, drawn in by the almost supernatural clarity of the tone. It's not just pitch-perfect singing, it carries something deeper. An energy, an authenticity, a raw connection to the soul of the song. You can see it in the audience's eyes, shock, disbelief, and growing excitement. Some mouths drop open, others clutch their seats, afraid to make a sound and disturb the moment. The hum of whispers dies down entirely, replaced by an intense, almost reverent silence. Simon's eyes widen slightly, the first crack in his skeptical exterior. He tilts his head, studying the young man with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. Heidi Klum leans forward, her hands gripping the edge of the judge's table. "Oh my gosh," she whispers under her breath, eyes wide, a rare audible gasp escaping. Howie Mandel, usually quick with jokes, is frozen mid-smile, his gaze fixed entirely on the stage. Even Sofia Vergara, who is often animated and expressive, sits almost motionless, completely absorbed. The singer continues, letting the note resonate fully, holding it longer than seems humanly possible. Each vibration seems to carry weight, filling the room not just with sound, but with emotion. The performance doesn't feel like a mere audition anymore. It feels like history unfolding. There's an inexplicable magnetism to his voice, a haunting quality that makes the audience forget to blink, as if time itself has slowed down to listen. Backstage, crew members exchange stunned looks. Cameras are rolling from every angle, capturing the moment when disbelief becomes awe. Social media fingers twitch, even mid-performance, as a few audience members begin recording, sensing this will not be an ordinary clip. It will be legendary. Comments like, "Is this really happening?" and "Who is this guy?" begin popping up in real time, hinting at the viral storm already brewing. As he transitions to the next note, there's a subtle yet unmistakable charisma in his stance and movements. His posture is relaxed but commanding. His eyes are closed now, lost in the music, and yet the audience can feel every nuance of emotion radiating from him. Each breath, each subtle inflection, is perfect, not just technically, but emotionally. It's as if he's channeling an energy that transcends him, touching something deeper in everyone present. Then comes a moment that stops the room entirely. A single high note, held perfectly, rings out like a bell, pure and sustained, the kind of note that makes people shiver involuntarily. The audience gasps. Simon's mouth opens slightly, but no words come. It's rare, almost unheard of, to see the notoriously stoic judge rendered speechless in the first few seconds of a performance. Heidi covers her mouth with her hands, wide-eyed, as if she's just witnessed something miraculous. Howie's expression is a mix of shock and awe. Sophia leans forward, completely captivated. The young man holds the note just long enough to make everyone question reality. How can someone so ordinary-looking produce a voice so extraordinary? Then, almost imperceptibly, he lets the note fade, like a gentle echo lingering in the hearts of everyone in the theater. The silence that follows is electric, heavy with anticipation, the kind that precedes an explosion. Slowly, the audience begins to react. First, a few scattered claps, then louder cheers, gradually swelling into a roaring ovation. People are on their feet, some wiping tears from their eyes, others simply stunned, unable to comprehend what they just heard. Cameras capture the pure, unfiltered reactions, children jumping in awe, elderly audience members shaking their heads in disbelief, young fans screaming with joy. Simon finally leans forward, his fingers gripping the edge of the judge's table, eyes locked on the performer. For the first time in his career, he doesn't critique, doesn't judge. He just watches, utterly captivated. The Filipino singer doesn't say a word. He doesn't need to. The performance, even at this early stage, has spoken louder than words ever could. As the scene closes, the young man takes a brief bow, acknowledging the stunned audience and judges with humility and grace. There's no arrogance, no self-consciousness, just the quiet confidence of someone who knows the power of their gift. The camera lingers on Simon Cowell's face, a mixture of astonishment, respect, and disbelief, before cutting to the audience, still clapping, still gasping, still trying to process what they have just witnessed. This is not just the beginning of a performance. This is the moment where legends are born, where a single note, a single presence, can shake the very foundations of America's Got Talent. The audience knows it, the judges know it, and soon, the world will know it too. As the initial shock of his first note settles over the audience, the Filipino performer doesn't pause. He takes a slow, deliberate breath, and the next phrase begins. It's no longer just an audition. It's a transformation, a metamorphosis of sound and presence that completely seizes the theater. Each note he sings is precise, powerful, yet filled with a vulnerability that tugs at every heart in the room. There's a texture to his voice, a richness and warmth that seems impossible for someone so young, yet there it is, undeniable. The audience leans in collectively, caught in the web of his talent, as though every heartbeat in the theater is synced to the rhythm of his song. Simon Cowell, known for his sharp critiques and tough demeanor, is no longer in his usual composed position. He's leaning forward, elbows resting on the judge's table, eyes wide, his expression teetering between disbelief and awe. This is not the typical good, but not great performance he's used to evaluating. This is something entirely different. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't ask for clarification. He just watches, captivated by a voice that defies expectations. Heidi Klum, usually poised and polished, has her hands clasped tightly in front of her chest. Her eyes glisten with emotion, a soft gasp escaping her lips. Howie Mandel, typically the comic relief, is completely still, his usual playful smile replaced by an expression of shock and admiration. Even Sofia Vergara, expressive and animated by nature, is mesmerized, leaning forward as if trying to absorb every ounce of the performance. The young man closes his eyes for a moment, lost in the music. Yet, his connection to the audience is palpable. Every subtle shift in his posture, every tilt of his head, carries intention and emotion. He channels the soul of Elvis, not by imitation alone, but by merging it with his own unique energy, creating something entirely new yet comfortingly familiar. The audience feels it instinctively. Some are visibly moved, tears welling in their eyes, while others sit frozen, mouths slightly agape, unable to process the perfection emanating from the stage. There is a collective realization in the room: this is no ordinary singer. This is a phenomenon. As the song progresses, he begins to navigate intricate vocal runs and signature vibratos that would challenge even the most seasoned vocalists. Yet, he executes each with an ease that seems otherworldly. There's a spontaneity in his performance, a subtle improvisation that elevates the moment from technically impressive to emotionally transcendent. The camera captures the judge's reactions in real time, Simon's usual stoicism replaced by astonishment, Heidi's wide-eyed admiration, Howie's uncharacteristic stillness, Sophia's look of utter awe. Even from backstage, the production crew is watching in disbelief, whispering among themselves that they have never seen anything like it in all their years on the show. Then comes a pivotal moment. He pauses, just for a heartbeat, letting the silence stretch across the theater like a held breath. The audience leans in, sensing the climax approaching. Without warning, he launches into a soaring high note that fills the entire room. The power, clarity, and emotion behind it are breathtaking. Every vibration seems to reach deep into the audience's core, eliciting gasps, shivers, and audible expressions of disbelief. This is no longer about talent. It's about connection. The theater is vibrating with energy, the air thick with awe and anticipation. Social media is already lighting up as a few audience members record the moment, instinctively, knowing this performance will break the internet. As the high note fades into a delicate, controlled descent, he shifts effortlessly into a softer, more intimate section. Here, the audience experiences the vulnerability behind his powerhouse voice. There is emotion in every word, a story woven into each lyric. The judges, especially Simon, are visibly affected. Simon's lips part slightly, his usual stern gaze replaced by something almost childlike, in wonder. Heidi's hand trembles slightly as she clutches her chest, fighting back the tears. Howie's eyes glisten with unspoken emotion, his entire body leaning forward as if to absorb every nuance of the sound. Sophia is utterly entranced, whispering under her breath, "He is unbelievable." The performance continues, each moment layered with dynamics that alternate between explosive intensity and gentle vulnerability. The young man's voice climbs and falls with perfect control, creating tension and release that grips the audience with every note. He punctuates each phrase with a S. Subtle movement, a nod of the head, a slight sway, that adds to the theatricality without overshadowing the music. There's an undeniable charisma in the way he commands the stage, one that suggests confidence born of years of dedication, and a deep connection to his craft. The judges exchange glances that say more than words ever could. This is historic. Midway through the song, he introduces a vocal flourish that stops the audience in its tracks. The room goes completely silent, every ear straining to catch the nuance. The sound is flawless, emotive, and impossibly precise. The camera zooms in on Simon, whose expression has transformed from shock to awe, and then to a rare moment of emotion that seems to catch even him by surprise. He whispers under his breath, unable to contain his amazement, I don't believe it." Heidi nods subtly, tears forming, while Howie simply shakes his head, a silent acknowledgement of the magnitude of what they are witnessing. Sophia's smile fades into an expression of pure astonishment. The climax of this scene approaches as he seamlessly transitions into a segment that blends his own style with the essence of Elvis. The audience feels the weight of this fusion, the nostalgia of the King's iconic voice intertwined with the fresh brilliance of a new talent. Every heart in the theater is caught in the momentum, every eye fixed on the performer who seems both ordinary and extraordinary simultaneously. The applause starts subtly, then grows, a ripple that spreads through the theater. People are on the edge of their seats, some standing, some holding hands, some whispering to each other in disbelief. The energy is electric. Finally, he lands the note perfectly, a soft echo that lingers in the room, leaving a profound silence behind. This is not the quiet of absence. It's the reverent hush of an audience collectively processing the impossibility of what they just witnessed. Simon, still frozen in awe, slowly shakes his head, speechless. Heidi wipes a tear from her cheek, her hands still pressed over her heart. Howie leans back slightly, exhaling deeply, and Sophia sits stunned, unable to look away. The Filipino performer opens his eyes for the first time during the performance, scanning the crowd, acknowledging their reaction with a quiet, humble smile. There is no arrogance here, only the pure, unfiltered connection of a performer who has just given everything he has. The scene closes with the audience erupting into thunderous applause, the kind that shakes the theater to its foundations. Standing ovations, cheering, and cries of disbelief echo everywhere. Social media clips are already being shared, hashtags trending even before the song has ended. The judge remain mesmerized, Simon's usual sharp commentary replaced by silence and wonder. The young man takes a subtle bow, eyes glistening, fully aware that this moment will be remembered as one of the most shocking and unforgettable performances in AGT history. The final segment of his performance begins with a quiet, almost imperceptible shift in energy. The lights dim slightly, casting a soft glow over the stage, and the Filipino performer closes his eyes, taking a deep, controlled breath. The audience, still buzzing from the earlier highs of the song, instinctively leans in, knowing instinctively that the climax is near. His voice returns, lower this time, warm and intimate, drawing the listeners in as if he were speaking directly to their hearts. Every note is deliberate, each word loaded with feeling, conveying a story far bigger than the theater itself. The emotional gravity in his voice is palpable, almost tangible, wrapping around the audience like a blanket that's both comforting and overwhelming. Simon Cowell sits frozen, eyes locked on the stage, his usual skeptical demeanor completely stripped away. He's seen countless performers, but few have commanded the room with this level of authority and emotional depth. It's as if time has slowed just for this singer, the theater holding its collective breath in reverence. Heidi Klum's hands cover her mouth, trying to contain a gasp as tears streak down her face. Howie Mandel leans forward, elbows resting on the table, eyes glistening with a mix of disbelief and admiration. Sofia Vergara, unable to look away, grips the edge of the judge's desk, her jaw slack as she absorbs every nuance of the performance. The young man on stage is no longer simply singing, he is commanding an audience, holding them spellbound with the sheer force of his talent and heart. Suddenly, the song swells into a crescendo, but it's not loud. Overpowering. It's filled with precise control, every note carefully measured yet brimming with intensity. The Filipino performer hits a high, sustained note, one that seems impossibly long and perfectly on pitch, and the audience gasps in unison. Phones rise instinctively, capturing what will undoubtedly become an iconic moment, while those watching live on television lean closer to their screens, collectively holding their breath. The sound reverberates through the theater, lingering in the air like a tangible vibration that touches every soul present. People can feel it in their chest, a resonance that is both physical and emotional, making hearts race and eyes well with tears. As the high note fades, he transitions into a subtle, almost whispered section where the lyrics take on a deeply personal tone. Each word is enunciated with care, each phrase delivered as if he's revealing a piece of his soul. The audience feels the weight of his story, the struggles and triumphs that have led him to this moment. In that instant, the performance becomes more than music. It becomes a shared experience, a bond between performer and listener that transcends language, culture, and expectation. Simon leans forward, his eyes glistening, struggling to form words. For the first time in AGT history, he finds himself emotionally unguarded, his voice caught in his throat as he tries to process the depth of what he's hearing. The young man then begins a series of vocal runs, rapid and intricate, yet flawlessly executed. Each note seems to challenge the very limits of human capability, yet he navigates them effortlessly. The audience responds with a mix of awe and disbelief, a collective realization that they are witnessing a talent that defies ordinary understanding. Every eye is fixed on the stage, every ear tuned to the slightest variation in tone. The energy in the theater is electric, a living, breathing entity, fueled by the power of his voice. Every clap, every cheer, every gasp is amplified, reverberating back and forth as the audience becomes part of the performance itself. Then comes the emotional pinnacle. He pauses for a beat, the theater falling into a complete hush, and launches into a final soaring note that is equal parts power and vulnerability. It's a note that carries the weight of every dream, every struggle, every sacrifice he has endured to reach this moment. The sound fills every corner of the theater, bouncing off the walls and penetrating the hearts of every listener. The audience is overwhelmed. Some are on the edge of their seats, others have tears streaming down their faces, while a few cover their mouths in disbelief. Simon, usually quick with critique or sarcastic remark, sits utterly still, eyes wide, completely captivated. It's rare to see the seasoned judge rendered speechless, yet here he is, witnessing a moment that words cannot describe. As the final note hangs in the air, he lets it slowly descend, fading delicately into silence. The audience remains frozen for a heartbeat, stunned by the perfection they've just experienced. Then, the theater erupts. Applause crashes like a tidal wave, Screams of joy and amazement echo through every aisle, and standing ovations ripple across the crowd. People jump to their feet, clapping, cheering, some overcome with emotion, wiping tears from their eyes. The judges are equally affected. Heidi wipes her cheeks. Howie shakes his head in disbelief. Sophia stares in awe, and Simon finally finds his voice, though it comes out almost in a whisper. I've never heard anyone like you before." The young man bows humbly, acknowledging the audience's reaction with grace and composure. His humility contrasts sharply with the overwhelming magnitude of his performance, making the moment even more extraordinary. He doesn't bask in the applause or feed off the adoration. Instead, he lets the music and emotion speak for themselves. The connection he has established with everyone present lingers in the air, a powerful reminder that true talent is not just about skill, but about the ability to touch hearts and inspire awe. Backstage, the production crew and assistants are visibly shaken, whispering among themselves that they've witnessed a performance that will be talked about for decades. The energy spills into social media instantly, clips of the performance going viral within seconds. Fans worldwide are captivated, calling him the Filipino Elvis, praising not just his technical mastery, but the emotional power of his voice. Comments pour in, "I've never heard anything like this, this is legendary," and he left Simon speechless. The world is watching, and for a brief, unforgettable moment, everyone feels connected by the sheer brilliance of one performer's voice. As the camera lingers on Simon Cowell, his usually critical demeanor replaced by genuine astonishment, he slowly rises to his feet, joining the audience in a rare standing ovation. The other judges follow, clapping enthusiastically, some with tears in their eyes, as the Filipino singer remains on stage, absorbing the moment with quiet dignity. This is the kind of performance that defines a career, that transcends competition and becomes a historic event in the world of entertainment. The scene closes with the young man raising his arms slightly, a subtle gesture of gratitude, and the audience erupting once again. There is laughter, crying, and cheering all at once, a chaotic but joyful symphony of human emotion. It's clear to everyone present that they have witnessed not just an incredible performance, but a moment that will live on in AGT history. A singer who didn't just emulate a legend, but transformed the stage, leaving judges, audience, and viewers around the world utterly speechless.